Hi, I'm Cory Wilkins. I know you've been wondering and waiting to find out what my all-time favorite type of plugin is. What would I use on a desert island? If I could only use one kind of plugin across an entire mix, what would it be? Well, I'm going to tell you in just a minute, but before we get to that, I just want to say if you like what you see on this channel, and if you want to learn more about how I can use blind accessible technology to be a professional recording engineer, producer, and mixer, please hit that subscribe button. You're watching Ears Only Audio.
So there are all kinds of different plugins: EQ, compression, transient designers, reverbs, delays, pitch modulators, pitch shifters, amp simulations, all kinds of things. But if I only had one type of plugin to work with and nothing else, my desert island plugin would be a channel strip. Because a channel strip gives you all of your needed functions: EQ, compression, gate, expander, any type of the ability to do gain staging with the trim, so you don't have to use a separate trim plugin, phase invert, all in one plugin. So I am a huge fan of channel strips. And today I just want to demonstrate the one that comes free with Pro Tools. So it's not like you have to go out and buy, an expensive SSL channel strip or an expensive API channel strip emulation or anything like that. If you have Pro Tools, you have the Avid channel strip. And it doesn't have the same kind of color as those classic models do. But it does the job, and it's perfectly adequate. And it really has some very nice features. So what we're going to do is I have a track up called Working For Me, which is a song that I wrote for my lovely girlfriend of the past 10 and a half years. And I recorded this for our anniversary last November. And we're going to just put a Avid channel strip in the A slot on the lead vocal and see what this does.
High heart lead box.
Okay, so that you're hearing is my voiceover, so that's what tells me what I'm doing, and I'm using Flow Tools, which was developed in part by my friend Rocco when he was at Berklee College of Music. Now, as I understand, he is at Belmont in Nashville. So I'm going to just hit Command 1, and that's going to allow me to instantiate a plugin in my A slot.
Menu 3 items checkmark. No in plugin. Submenu. Plugin. Submenu 13 items EQ. Submenu.
I can get to the channel
You are currently on the menu item. To choose.
From my EQ section or from my dynamics section. So I'm already on EQ.
EQ. Submenu 6 items bark of dog. Mod. Channel strip. Mono.
We're going to go channel
You are
strip.
currently on the menu item. Plugin. Channel strip. Win.
Okay. The next thing we're going to do is there are a lot of presets here. Now, I've created my own preset, which I've named CS Start for Channel Strip Start. And it basically has the starting place of what I like to have, like my process order. That's the other thing you can do in this channel strip is you can change your process order. Put your EQ before your compression or put your EQ after your compression, which is really handy. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that preset.
Less than factory default. Greater than. Menu 28 items. Telephone. Vote checkmark. Less. Acoustic guitar. Bass. Boom. Bottom. CS Start. CS Start. Librarian menu.
So now my process order is there, and my compression is not where I'm going to have it, but it's at a good starting position, so I don't have a lot of keystrokes. Now we're going to open
FXTDM
up
edit view plugin. You are currently on the plugin FXTDM edit view.
We're just going to take a little tour around this thing.
0.0 dB.
First thing you're in is your EQ section, and you're at your gain for your EQ low band.
0.50 EQ low Q vertical
And that'll
parameter.
be the Q, so how narrow or wide you want your cut or boost.
Peak EQ low type vertical.
Your peak, which is just the shape. You have a peak or a shelf or a notch, so we could actually interact with this.
In vertical parameter. Low shelf. Peak.
So those are my only
Out
two
of vertical
choices, is a low shelf or a peak.
For 1.2 hertz. EQ low frequency vertical.
And that's where you just have it choose your frequency.
Out. EQ low listening slash out.
This is cool. This is to listen in and out, and I will demonstrate that in just a moment here. Let's just get through the rest of these. Then you're going to have your gain for your low mid.
In. EQ low 0.0 dB.
Actually, you have an in and out for your low mid, and then your gain.
0.50. EQ low
Again,
mid
your
Q. Vertical 3 to 9.0 hertz.
Your
Out.
frequency.
EQ low mid
Your
listening
in
slash
and out
out.
listen.
Vertical in. EQ high mid and slash out. Vertical
your high
parameter.
mid.
0.0 dB. 0.50. EQ high mid Q. Vertical 2.6
for the high
kilohertz.
mid,
EQ high mid
2.6
frequency.
K.
Out. EQ high
You're
mid listening
listening
in.
out.
EQ high and slash out. 0.0 dB.
This is
EQ
your
high
high.
0.50. Peak. EQ 10.5 kilohertz. Out. EQ high list out. Filter 1 listening slash
Okay,
out.
now we're in our filter section, our high and low pass filters.
0.6 hertz. 12 dB slash O. 0.50. Out. Filter 1 in slash out. Vertical parameter. High pass. Filter 1 type.
So you can double check. You know, you can actually pull your filter out of the chain, like your high pass filter out of the chain, to make sure it's doing what you want.
Out. Filter 2 listening to 1.0 kilo. 12 dB slash O. 0.5 out. Filter 2 in slash out. Vertical parameter. You are currently on a low pass. Filter 2 type. Vertical parameter. In. CMP in slash out. Vertical parameter. You are currently
This
on
is to move your compressor in and out of the chain.
1.01 CMP ratio. To 4.0 dB. CMP threshold.
Your
Vertical
threshold.
parameter. 0.0 dB. CMP knee. Vertical parameter.
Knee. So how flexible that compressor is or not.
10.0 ms. CMP attack time. Vertical parameter.
Attack.
50.1 ms. CMP
Release.
36.0 dB. CMP depth. Vertical parameter.
Depth.
0.0 dB.
Your
CMP
makeup
gain
gain.
makeup. Vertical.
Now you're going to get to your expander limiter. I mean, your expander gate. Sorry.
0.0 dB. X hysteresis. Vertical parameter. You are 1.0 ms. X hold time. Vertical 36.0 dB. X depth. Vertical 200.0 ms. X release time. Vertical 20.0 s. X attack time. Vertical 0.0 dB. X meet. Vertical parameter. 58.0 dB. X threshold. Vertical parameter. 1.0. X ratio. Vertical parameter. In. X in slash out. Vertical parameter.
That's where you can
You
move
are currently
your
on the
expander in and out.
Av. SC detector type F slash PK. Off. SC listening slash out. Vertical parameter. You are internal. SC source. Vertical parameter. 20.0 hertz. SC filter frequency. Vertical
So you can set up
on. SC filter in slash out. Vertical high pass.
Sidechains
SC filter type.
things
Vertical
like
in.
that.
Dyna in. EQ on slash off. Vertical parameter.
turn your EQ
You are currently
on
on
and
the
off
vertical
from,
parameter.
like kind of the master section of your plugin.
In. Filters on slash off. FLT to EQ. Process order. Vertical parameter.
So I have filters, then dynamics, then EQ.
0.0 dB. Fader volume.
And I like to have my filters first because I don't like, especially low-end information, triggering my compressor. Especially like low-end information that I don't want anyway. I'm going to filter out later. Why do you have my compressor first? Then you have a fader. I just use the fader in front of me on my console here.
Post. Fader volume pre slash post. Vertical parameter. You are currently on the
setting
vertical.
up a pre-post, obviously. Pretty self-explanatory there.
In. Fader volume on slash off. Vertical off. Phase switch in slash out. Vertical
This
parameter.
is phase switch. This can be especially helpful when you're checking phase on a multi-mic'd instrument like drums.
0.0 dB. Input trim.
And
Vertical
there's
parameter.
your input trim.
You are currently on
Okay. And there's just a couple other little master things, but let's
ignoring
go
next
ahead
key. Hide all floating windows.
zip out of there for now.
Group lead. Load harm box. Hide lead box. Group list pop up lead box.
Okay. Now, we're going to go ahead and play this.
Is it still working for you the way it's working for me? Is everything you have?
Okay, now let's see what our peak is here.
Minus 8.7.
Okay, minus 8.7. That's actually not bad. We don't really have to gain this down. We're going to solo up this vocal.
On.
Okay. Now we're going to re-enter that channel strip and see what some of these things actually do.
Plugin. Channel strip window. FXTDM edit view. Plug in FXTDM.
All right, so let's first go ahead and use a high-pass filter.
Zero peak out.
Just to get rid of some of the low-end information we
0.5
don't
peak.
need.
1
So I'm
out.
just-
20 1 2 dB slash O. 20 point out. Filter 1 listen in slash
Okay,
out.
now here's the listen and out. This is how this works, and this is pretty darn cool.
In vertical parameter. In.
Let's put it in.
Out of vertical 20.6. In vertical parameter.
Now we are only going to hear the information that we're getting rid of. So right now, my high-pass filter is set to 20.6 hertz. So when I hit play, we're not really going to hear anything because there's nothing really in the vocal down that low. So, but I'm going to move this up, and you're going to hear the vocals sort of start to come in. And is what we're going to be hearing is all that low-end information that we don't want. And one way to set your high-pass filter is to have it in the listen mode and keep moving it up until you hear things that actually start sounding good, and then move it back down a little bit, okay? And then always double check with it in. And I don't actually do this very often, but when you're first getting started, this is a way you can kind of hear what you're actually taking out rather than hear it as it's being taken away. See, it's playing, but you hear nothing.
21, 20, 20, 20, 23, 20, 25.1 hertz. 20, 20, 20, 20, 40, 51 point.
See, we're starting to hear a little bit of information in there.
52.5.
In, between 40 and 50 hertz. Okay, now one thing I like to do when I'm EQing is I don't really want to hear what the frequency number is because it's completely irrelevant. So I actually turn down my computer, and I just judge with my ears, not by what number I expect to come up. So I'm rolling it up on the keyboard. Okay, now we're getting into... I don't want to get rid of much more than that. So then we'll exit out of that parameter, and we'll see what we have.
123.1 hertz.
Okay, 123.1 hertz. That's actually not
In filter 1.
too far different than how I had it before I started this video.
In vertical parent out.
So then we'll move it out, and this is what we have left.
Is it still working for you the way it's working for me? Is it?
Now, let's...
Out of vertical 123.12 dB slash 0 point in filter 1 in slash.
Now let's take filter 1 out
In
of the
vertical
chain, and you can hear the difference.
Is it still working for you the way it's working for me?
Put it back
Is
in.
it everything you ever hoped and dreamed to be? Do I still make you smile? Do I still
Take it
make
back
you
up.
laugh? Do I give you everything you
So you
could
hear it clouds
ever
up
ask?
pretty
And do you get a
significantly.
chill every time that
But
we
none of the
kiss?
stuff we're taking out is making it sound too
Out of
thin.
vertical.
It's not making it sound wimpy. All the stuff we're taking out is just that muddy low end, and it frees up a bunch of headroom for your kick drum and your bass guitar. Now, a lot of times, vocals will have
0.
an area in the lower mids that just doesn't sound quite as good. And this is actually, I will use this, the listen feature,
0 P 4 out in 0.0.50 EQ.
for my EQing out like a mid-range point, because I don't like to boost and search. I would rather just isolate the frequency that I'm looking at. So we're going to set the Q a little higher.
5.93.
So we have a 5.93 Q. So we're getting a little more narrow.
3 to 9 out. EQ in vertical
We'll
parameter.
put this in.
Out of vertical parameter 3 to 9.0.
And this is starting at 329,
parameter.
which is
You are currently on the
probably
vertical parameter 5.03 to
going
9
to
in vertical parameter.
be a little lower than I'm going to end up using, so which is good. I like to start underneath. So now we're just soloing 329 hertz on this vocal. And I'm going to hit play.
Is it still working
So that's
for
not great
you the
sounding.
way it's working for me? Is it
There's some
everything
more
you
stuff
ever
in here,
hoped
I
and
know.
dreamed to be? Do I still make you smile? Do
Now,
I still
remember,
make
I've
you
got my
laugh?
computer turned
Do I
down,
give
so
you everything
I'm not
you
attached
could
to a number.
ever ask? And do you get a chill every time that we kiss? Do you wish I never thought that it could stay like this? Let's take tonight,
Right in there
and maybe
is
we'll see
nasty.
if it's working for you.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and exit out of that fader with our voiceover keyboard command.
5.441.7 hertz.
441.
Vertical parameter.
So now
You are currently on the vertical parameter.
I can
Stop 4 in EQ low
take
in
this
vertical out.
out.
Out of vertical 445.0.0 dB. EQ in vertical parameter.
And now I can go ahead. I am in the gain for this frequency for 441 that we just set up, that we just found and we didn't like. Now I'm going to start pulling this down. Now the whole signal is going to be back in, so I can hear how much I need to pull down before this vocal starts to clear up.
Is it still
minus
working for
0.2.
you the way it's working for me?
It's gonna be
Is it
probably
everything you ever
2.53
hoped and dreamed to
dB.
be?
Minus
Do I
0.9,
still make you
minus
smile?
2.9 dB.
Do I still make you laugh?
Minus
Do I
minus
give you everything you could ever ask? And
Minus
do you
2.5
get a
dB.
chill every time that we kiss? Do you wish I never
See,
thought
right around
that
there,
it
that
could
sounds pretty good. So now
Out Out of vertical per
we can actually A-B just this one frequency band being in and out.
5.93441 out. EQ low mid listen in slash out. Vertical 452
I'm going
point
the wrong
in. EQ low mid in slash out. Vertical in vertical per.
Okay, so now it's in, and I'll hit play again.
Is it
We'll
still
take it out.
working for you the way it's working for me? Is it everything you ever
Put it back
hoped and
in.
dreamed to be? Do I still make you smile? Do I still make you laugh?
Take it
Do
back
I
out.
give you everything you could ever ask? And do
Put it
you
back
get
in.
a chill every time that we kiss? Do you
So as you can see, that clears up the vocal quite a lot. Now this
Out of vertical per.
is just EQing. This channel strip will also do, like I showed you, compression and gate and expansion. And we will definitely explore those in the next video. I just wanted to give you an overview of the Avid Channel Strip plugin and get you started on how you can use the EQ in the Avid Channel Strip plugin. And next video, we will talk about the compressor, because the compressor in this channel strip is actually quite good. So I want to take the time to really show you that and everything that it can do. So thanks again for watching Ears Only Audio, and I'll be seeing you real shortly.